What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 19 of season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. We'll be talking full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you have watched this episode. And let's do a real quick recap. It's pretty straightforward what happened in this episode. Kind of traumatic, turning into a breath of fresh air for a split second. Basically, we carry on from the last episode. We see that Nobara, right?
I think so.
I think that's what we were calling her last time. She has a hole in her head. So, pretty good chance she's dead. We were kind of speculating on that on the last episode. And Yuji, at this point, I think we can safely say is broken. He doesn't know what to do at this point. And when things are looking dire, Mahito is just reveling in just the destruction that he is putting upon everyone, including Yuji, just really savoring the flavor. Finally, my boy Todo shows up and steps in, intervening, gives Yuji a pep talk, basically saying that as long as they're alive and they can keep fighting, it doesn't negate their lives. Basically, to give up would be to basically be throwing their legacy away. And yeah, it kind of rejuvenates Yuji a bit. Also, is his name Nita?
I think so.
That's Nita. Okay. He comes up. He does some of his healing stuff. Well, it's not really heal. He basically stops all of his injuries, so they're not progressing anymore. Kind of stabilizes him, but tells him that any new injuries will be injuries. Be injuries, yeah. So basically, he put everything on pause. He also attempted to do this for Nobara, but he cannot guarantee that she's going to live. He just tried to stop anything that was happening for her, which makes me think possibly she won't die, but we'll find out, because the first shot of this episode was pretty brutal to see a huge hole in her head.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Yeah. So Todo and Mahito, I was going to say trade blows, but Mahito can't hit Todo because Todo's got his clapping ability where he's teleporting around. And, of course, Mahito finds that really interesting. They go at it for a little bit, and we get a scene with, I think her name was Miwa, M-I-W-A.
I believe so.
Miwa. Essentially talking to Mekamaru's digital ghost, basically.
What's remaining of his soul, yeah.
Yeah. Essentially explaining to her that he knew that Todo and Nita's probability of survival in Shibuya was better off than basically everybody else. And so he says that they're not needed there basically because they would likely die. This puts, a lot of, thought and kind of feeling of not being adequate enough with Miwa, and also the people who are overhearing, I forget all their names, but other of the Kyoto class, basically hearing that he didn't have any faith in them and surviving, not necessarily because they're not good enough, but just because the probability he doesn't want them to die. He also expresses that he cared a lot about Miwa, and that I think this is his last message. So he is being sent off basically, and she has a strong emotional reaction to that, and everyone in the back is basically upset by this, and we'll see where that leads off to. We go back to Shibuya, where Todo and Yuji are fighting Mahito. I won't go into all the details, but there's a lot of crazy stuff that Mahito's doing, a lot of interesting thing Todo's doing with his teleportation, which is frustrating Mahito because he's trying to figure out a way to... He just has to touch him. That's all he's trying to do. But Todo is very good at not getting touched. And yeah, him and Yuji are kind of fighting together, kind of doing some cooperative moves against him. And yeah, we get to a point where Mahito kind of does a analysis of Yuji's soul is at like 10%. I think Todo's is at 100%, which makes sense. I don't know how you'd break Todo. And then
gotta hit him first.
Yeah, exactly. And then Mahito, was he at 40%?
40.
Yeah. So they're both pretty damaged. Yuji's obviously not doing very well. And Todo is, fresh in the battle. So Mahito has decided at this point to prioritize going after Todo to take him out, because once he takes him out, there's not really a challenge anymore. Plus, the teleportation thing's a big boon for them in this fight. And yeah, so he goes after him, pursues him. There's a big chase scene, and eventually, if I comprehended it correctly, Yuji threw a rock. Was that a rock?
Yeah, it was just a piece of cement.
Yeah. So he threw something really hard, really fast, and Todo switched with it. Basically, looking like he's going through the goddamn universe at the speed of light to strike Mahito. Hits him. Mahito, basically at this point, it sounds like he's about to turn into his final form. He's letting loose completely after that strike. And he unleashes a attack that attacks from every direction. So Todo's kind of stuck in a situation where he can't really teleport right now because there wouldn't be a point. He's just going to end up in more of what he's already in. And I think we end the episode with Mahito basically freaking out and seemingly very dedicated to finishing this fight, while Todo and Yuji are bracing themselves for what is to come in the next episode, which is not a part 1 through 3 that we've been going through so far. I think it's called Metamorphosis, which makes me assume Mahito's going to have a metamorphosis.
Probably. They keep alluding to him like not being grown up yet.
So. Yeah, and after playing Resident Evil 4 Remake recently, I just assume he's going to turn into some kind of Resident Evil monster, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, in the preview for the next episode, it showed his, what's that called again?
Bankai.
It's Bankai.
Yeah. His domain expansion?
Yes.
Okay.
Because all the hands were going or whatever. So
yeah.
I assume that's coming up.
Yeah. No, I think we're going to get some kind of conclusion in the next episode. I feel like we need it because it's been very brutal. We did see Yuji break in this episode, and I don't blame him. And it was perfectly balanced for me because I've been this whole time waiting for fucking Todo to show up. And this is the perfect time for him to show up because it's very depressing where we're at right now in terms of the story, Yuji and what he's going through, and he needed the boon of somebody who's just gonna only see the positive. And we also got the jokes in there, which was so fucking needed. Of my brother's down there, blah blah blah. And he's like, he's got a brother.
Yeah.
And he goes down there. He's like, Todo's brother looks nothing like him. the whole joke that keeps going, and then a couple of the goofiness of Todo when he's getting launched at him, and then also at the end, I thought it was funny that all three of them had kind of a goofiness to him when it had the shot of all three of them, and Todo was doing the peace sign, and
he's smooching.
He's smooching, yeah. And then Mahito is even making kind of a goofy face. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a nice little...
Yeah, but Itadori looked like... I can't say his name right
Sakuna?
now. Yeah, in that picture. It was really weird.
Yeah.
I think it was just because of the arrogant head back look.
I think it was the art style, and how they did it. But I thought it was...
Also, that was funny in that moment they mentioned, they're all, operating at 120% right now, so...
Yeah. So... yeah, there was some levity, some lightness to this episode that started out very dark. So that was appreciated for me personally. So I'm like, this is getting rough, dude. Impressions.
Well, I gotta give them fucking props for the huge balls they have to actually show us Nabarro's head with a hole in it. That was crazy.
Yeah.
So they kind of complained last episode that it was kind of anticlimactic the way she kind of went out, and that's because they were gonna do it this episode. So that was crazy to see, to be honest, especially because I'm not used to seeing main characters in shows take that kind of damage. So,
have a hole in their head.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
So and then the voice actor for Yuji, huge props when he was having a breakdown, that was super convincing. So
yeah, very emotional.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Which made Todo's appearance even better because I was like, this is fucking brutal, dude.
Well, and the one thing I appreciate about the consistency with Todo's character is he is very much no BS when it comes to the job, mm-hmm. and he's you always move forward. That's it. that's you have to keep striving for better, or else we can't be brothers anymore. And then he even makes a comment later on where like Yuji and even Mahito are able to do this move. I can't remember, it's called Black something Flash, I think.
Black Flash, yeah.
And he's like, he's pumping himself up. He's like, you're gonna get left behind. You don't want to be left behind, do you, Toji? Like, he's just talking, or Toto. He's just talking to himself, like talking himself up, and then he does a Black Flash at that point too. So, yeah, he's just all about that like friendly rivalry thing, which I think we definitely need right now.
Brotherly rivalry.
Yeah. Because the show for many episodes now has been very, very dark.
Well, it's rough because Yuji has been struggling with hope, basically. So, like, every time he gets a little glimmer of, like, oh, shit, well, maybe we could do something, he gets knocked down again.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he tries again. He has a little bit of a, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, but I have to keep going. And then something else happens, and it's just knocking him down. So he definitely needed somebody who has that more dedicated philosophy to the situation to be a part of this, because he doesn't have anyone to rely on anymore. It's just him, and he's just witnessing everyone around him get killed, possibly get killed, and that he's possibly he feels like he murdered a bunch of people. And so, yeah, he needs somebody to just be like, you got to drop all the fucking bullshit. We got to get back, eyes on the prize. And if you give up now, you're giving up on all the people who died. And so, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, their deaths mean nothing if you just give up. So
definitely the perfect arc for Toto to show up, for sure.
Yeah. And then, just going forward, the fight scene is very well choreographed. The way they handle the teleporting almost makes the fight look like a dance the whole time they're going, which is a lot of fun. They also played with multiple different animation styles this episode, which was also a treat. So we got a little taste of a bunch of different styles going through it, with a lot of really detailed like still moments as well. Like, for example, when I can't remember her name now, but when she's on the train and she starts crying, it's like really, really crisp art on her in that moment, and even the rest of the Kyoto students. And then just like anytime we got stills of like Yuji, Toto, and Mahito's face, super crisp. Like, I don't know, this keeps saying it every episode, but this season is just like crazy with like the quality and just the nonstop roller coaster we're on. I'm here for it. Definitely ready to see this guy go though, because like he's exhausting. Like, and that's a good thing. He's the villain. You're supposed to hate him and want him to go away. So I definitely feel that way right now. So.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of times anything but anime, you can sometimes you can like the villains, but still recognize that they're the bad guy. This guy's badass, blah blah blah. I feel like that way with Sukuna, even though I do think he's a major threat. I do think he's an interesting character. And sadly, I started liking Jogo right when he died. So I was like, all right, bye, dude. But this dude I've never liked. It reminds me of like when you watch like Game of Thrones, and there's like, the characters that you just can't wait to die because they're so bad as characters, but it makes everything better because it just shows you there's real fucking villains in this. And Mahito's definitely that dude. So I'm ready for him to get taken out. But one thing I appreciate about him is he said at one point that he's at 40% or whatever, and he's taken some hits, but he's not showing that at all.
Yeah.
Which is definitely part of his whole shtick. It's like he's enjoying it. He's not going to give any indicator that he's been damaged or not, but he's been hit plenty of times.
When it's funny too, he specifically mentions like his clone getting just destroyed. Was that Yuji was the one who did that, right? Not just second part away, and then the Nobara's that one attack she did that actually like was directly affecting his soul. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, so he's been damaged, but if you didn't hear him say that, you would have to just speculate on that, because otherwise he doesn't seem like it. He's just going. I think that's the exhausting factor of him, is like he's just relentless. I do feel like we've seen in the last couple episodes of him just like seemingly getting crazier though. Like I feel like his mental state is just getting a little like chaotic, more so than usual. And so that's kind of also really interesting to watch. It kind of sucks though that, and I've talked about this before, I think in like a review or two ago, Yuji's all hands. He's just a hand-to-hand combat dude who hits hard. Toto's also that, except for Toto can teleport, which is great. But it sucks that they're fighting a dude who can fucking
do anything,
just create whatever the fuck he wants when he wants. So like, it's all about closing ground, and it's a really interesting thing to watch.
Also, not getting touched by him. Like he's a menace.
Yeah, he fucking sucks. Because that ability to murder people by touching them is pretty brutal. But yeah, Toto's kind of like perfect for that. I did get a little worried too at the end of the episode when the music started playing in the credits. I'm like, is he gonna fucking kill Toto, dude? I'm gonna get pissed if that happens. So we'll see. If you know, don't fucking let me know. No spoilers, please. I have not read the manga. Keep getting worried because anytime I'm like, oh, the new episode of JJK's out, Sarah's like, whoa, okay, like just like acting like I'm like, okay, I don't know what you know that I don't, but I don't want to know about it. Yeah. Wait, were you saying? I kind of went off on a thing there.
I was done.
Yeah, really good episode, really good arc. I'm saying it every episode at this point, but this whole season's really great. And this episode definitely felt needed. I really am enjoying the arc. I'm really enjoying how dark it is. It's fucking brutal. I'm loving that. But we did need some
reprieve,
some fucking hope, something. Yeah. And so that was definitely welcome in this episode. The fight scenes were dope, especially like just right in the beginning when Toto first showed up and he went to swing at him and he teleported above him and kicked him into the ground. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, just beat the shit out of that dude. Please. Also, the shot where he kicked him in the into the elevator was super satisfying as well, because just when, like, just the way they animated it was like so quick. I love that. Also, the weird tumor meat train thing that was chasing after them was wild. And then he even ran into it. I don't know. It was a crazy fight. The train scene was interesting too, because otherwise this episode would have just been this, kind of giving some story to where these dudes are at. Because like we've been saying a couple times now, like, you know, are they just off screen? Are they not even here? A lot of these people, and you know, they basically are not there because of the whole probability thing, although I feel like that's going to change, because as a group they all seem to not be very happy about basically not feeling useless, not being able to help in the situation, because, you know, why would they not want to help? Also kind of a cool little scene with that Miwa chick and Mekamaru, giving some you know, back lore on him and her, and his feelings, stuff like that. So it's a cool little send off.
Yeah.
Also,
him actually admitting his feelings before he was gone.
Yeah. And yeah, I have a suspicion Nobara's gonna survive, just because whatever injury she sustained has been paused. So that gives her time to, you know, find the medical attention she's gonna need.
Right. Freshly dead.
Yeah.
Still be reversed, even, you know, for in real life. So.
Yeah, true. So I will be curious to see if she does survive, how she's going to recover. Either she's going to look very different. I'm sure she won't have a hole in her head, but
that'd be wild.
I'm curious about what they'll do with her in terms of the healing aspect of it. But I don't want to speculate too hard, because maybe she does die. I wasn't expecting to see her with a hole in her head. So
true.
But that the guy showed up and even did anything is telling me something's probably gonna happen there. And yeah, I can't wait to see the next episode. Can't wait to see some kind of conclusion with Mahito. I have a hard time believing he'll die, which is just me being jaded on that guy can't die. But
Please kill him.
I do feel like something will end here, whether he actually dies or he runs away and comes back later. But I don't know how many times we need to have in like multiple seasons the same dude showing up over and over and over again. So although we are starting to run out of villains, we got one major one. And that's no, two. We got two major ones. And that's about it. So Mahito's always been kind of a wild card. So we will see where it goes. But hoping for the best. And by the best, I mean he gets murdered. Yeah, really good episode. Really good arc. I like the last 3 episodes. Really dark. Really good. Character development. And can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. It was a pretty straightforward episode with a small, deviation in the middle, but it was really good. I like the amount of emotion that was in the episode as well. So
yeah, I feel like obviously that was told not just to give us context on what's going on there, but I think they'll likely show up possibly, but we'll see. All right, so let us know in the comments what you guys think of this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'm sure you liked it if you're watching this show this far into it. It's only gotten better. What were some of the highlights? What are some of the things you really enjoyed in this episode? Maybe there's something in this episode that we didn't talk about that you want to mention. And what are you hoping for in the next episode? Unless you know, please do not tell us or anybody else who might be watching this and doesn't want to know, because we are going in blind, have not read the manga. Thank you. And yeah. Let us know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to this episode. I've been Seth, this has been Chevy, and until the next review, which will be very soon, we'll talk to you guys later.